everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Q&A session, We're Not Okay, with the Black-owned brand, Rise of the Cotton. I'm here with founder Ariel Bubb, Serena Green, co-founder, and Celeste Batts, Chief Operating Officer. Super excited to be here moderating today. I think it's really important that we leverage our platforms to invoke change, positivity, courage, justice, and ultimately love. For those not familiar with the brand, Rise of the Cotton was launched in 2017 to create a movement that challenges social injustice through fashion trends that elucidate modern day oppression. Ariel, do you mind taking us through how you came up with the idea for Rise of the Cotton?
Absolutely. And first I wanted to say to everybody right now, I know this is uncertain times. You are seen by this brand, you are understood. And you are loved. And I just wanted to say that, and we're going to be with you every step of the way. And how I came up with the brand name, in 2017, I was working remotely for the San Francisco Chronicle SF Gate and had a lot of time on my hands. You know, working remote is tough, but sometimes we get distracted. And I was actively thinking about my purpose and what I wanted to do with my life. I always thought I would be helping people on a larger scale, but I didn't know what that would entail exactly. I also lived in West Hollywood with Serena at the time, and we would always have long conversations in our living room about starting our own businesses and what we wanted to do to make a change in the world. And I started thinking about how can I give back to the Black community, and what would I do to be able to do that? What can I leverage to be able to have access to that? And I went on Google, as everybody does, and started researching Black history. And of course, I didn't find much, nothing too in-depth. So I took a trip to downtown LA to the public library, and I spent around 4 hours there reading books. And I will say in high school, they don't really teach you anything. You're just pretty much scratching the surface there. Slavery is much more gruesome than you think. Last summer, I actually had the privilege of going to see the Whitney plantation in New Orleans with my mom and some family. It was a very emotional experience, and it was very humid. I learned that even if you're pregnant, you're not exempt from being beaten or reprimanded. They would actually dig holes in the ground for pregnant women's stomachs, so that way when they're being beaten, they just lay down and their stomach goes in the hole, and they whip them from the back. Even when I'm talking about it now, it's very heavy. I feel that heavy sadness even today when I tell people what I learned there on the tour. So after I read those books, I noticed that there was one thing in common, other than all the slaves being Black people, right? And we were made there to pretty much pick cotton. We couldn't read, we couldn't write, we couldn't do our daily activities as we're doing today. And I thought to myself, why are Black people always put in a box? I've heard, I'm pretty for a dark-skinned girl. Wow, Ariel, you speak so educated for a Black person. A lot of microaggressions I've heard throughout my life. People seem to not know that Black people are actually doctors, nurses, lawyers, journalists, and etc. Not enough Black children and Black youth or Black people or people in general know or see those types of Black people highlighted in society or on the TV. And that's when it pretty much all clicked for me, rising above the stereotypes, the boxes society puts us in, rising above the cotton, the job they beat us and mass murdered us for. Rise of the Cotton was pretty much the name that I had to choose because we want to rise above what people made us seem to be, rising above and coming together to kind of kick those stereotypes to the curb, and Rise the Cotton just pretty much made sense from there for me.
Thank you so much. It's so amazing to hear your story and, you know, the personal perspective behind it. So thank you for sharing that with us. Serena, I have a question for you. How do you think the brand resonates with the current events that are taking place right now?
Yeah, when Ariel was actually doing that research back in 2017, this was a really tough time on our community. We've had many events where I'm sure everyone's aware of all of the the gruesome horror that's coming from police brutality. And one of the big ones that was happening during this time, June 2017, was Philando Castile's trial. And they had reached a verdict in June of 2017 that the officer on duty, who is there to protect and serve, shot Philando point blank range 7 times from his car. So during this time, it was really heavy on us. I think it even more so solidified that we need to do this. Now's the time. Back in the 60s, it would have been the time. So with this brand, whether we started it back then or in the 90s, maybe 1992 when the Rodney King riots were happening, this brand resonates with history, period. And especially right now because of everything that's happening because of still police brutality. 10 days ago, George Floyd was suffocated and murdered on the street, handcuffed, and he had 3 men on him. It wasn't just one pinning his neck. It was several different officers who were in this to murder. So with this brand, it resonates with now, it resonates in history, and we really just want to give those who are going to be a part of our community a space for safety, saying that, again, we hear you, you are heard, we love you, you are beautiful as is, your skin color is just a color, it doesn't shape an identity. Unfortunately, that was something that was placed on us when we were pretty much born, but racism has been around as long as police brutality has, which is as long as police officers have been in force. So it's a part of our history. We are here to really rise above that and show people that we love them, and it resonates with now, which is why we're starting this now.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, for all of the horrible things that we've witnessed, like, I am seeing a lot of power and strength, people coming together and really taking a stand, and, people are coming together in force in a way that we haven't seen. I don't know, in my I'll speak for myself, in my time, I haven't witnessed it. So I think it's a really important time in history right now. And thank you for sharing that with us. Celeste, next question for you. From the consumer perspective, what makes Rise of the Cotton different from other brands out there in the market?
What I feel makes Rise of the Cotton different is because what we see with most brands, it starts and it ends with a t-shirt. Just looking now, that's all you see. You see these thousands of t-shirts, but you don't see that community space. You don't see that engagement. And what we are trying to do is make sure that our community sees that they just don't have a t-shirt, that there's a platform, that they can speak up, that we can have this dialogue, that we could build a community where, yes, I know your t-shirt says I can't breathe, but what's behind that? Like, what can we do to get together behind that t-shirt? And that is what I feel that we are trying to do together with this organization. And what we're trying to do is redirect that narrative. And I understand that there's a lot of brands out there that are making these t-shirts, and they are trying, but we also need to go a step further by building that community space where we have a platform. As Black women, we are not always given that space. And if we have the opportunity to build that platform, that is what we should do. So many times we're silenced. We're told to be quiet. You sound like an angry person. When we're not just angry, we were also passionate about our people and our community. And that's how we are going to show it, by building that community space. Yes, you may see a t-shirt, but there's also going to be a link where you can read about what we're doing, and we may have a meetup so you can talk to other people in the community, and you can see these elders in the community. You can see other people that are trying to help as well. And that is what's going to make Rise of the Cotton different from the other brands.
100%. And in working with you all, that's, one thing I really appreciate is, first and foremost, it's a community. It's not, like you said, a t-shirt for t-shirt's sake. Like, we're starting from the ground up. It's a people's movement, and, that's really how we define ourselves. So thank you for that. Ariel, next question is for you. How is Rise of the Cotton taking a stand during this time to fight oppression?
Yeah, and I'm going to piggyback a little bit on what Celeste was saying in terms of community. I think it's important that I stress the purpose of this video is not to drive sales, but to build a community and a safe space to be heard. As a brand that has a sole purpose of not just fighting oppression, but to encourage and give a platform for those individuals to be seen, Our new t-shirt design says "Be Seen," and ironically, we actually started working on that design 3 weeks ago, which was 100% intentional. I can't speak on behalf of the entire Black community, but I will say part of the problem of not being heard is also not being seen. Why do you think people are outside rioting and protesting? As a brand, our integrity does lie with the Black community and having them lead where the brand will go from the design and the message, and not the other way around, right? 20% of each purchase is being donated to the Equal Justice Initiative. But our long-term plan, which you need to have a long-term plan, not just for today, is to give back to our local communities. It's important that we know where the donations are going and how they're directly impacting our community. Donating is just the beginning. We need a long-term plan in place to make real change. But what we're doing today is showing up, listening, and providing a platform without judgment or bias. It's also important that our staff is people of color. It's hard for our community to feel understood if we don't take that into consideration. I personally wouldn't feel comfortable with a white person creating content and speaking on behalf of the Black community and in our pain. There's so many layers of separation and sensitivity. So as a brand, we will protect those voices and continue to reflect what our community looks like. Real, raw, and unapologetically skin deep. And to me, that it was probably the most important thing, to make sure that our staff represents our community. Yeah.
I love it. I mean, it's really a people's brand. It starts from the ground up. So I really appreciate all of what you just said. So with the name Rise of the Cotton, Serena, will the team actually be using cotton in the production of the t-shirts?
Yes, 100%. We are definitely going to have cotton-based merchandise. We do want it to be blended, though, with more stretchy fabrics. We are very bodily women. We don't have a straight figure. We have curves, we have edges, so we definitely want to make sure that those who are in our community, when they wear this, that they're wearing it comfortably, but also pridefully. We're very proud of who we are. Our history, it's not the most ideal, but it's ours. So we do want to make sure that is comfortable in all aspects, including the fabric.
I love that. The inclusivity is so important, and it's, as great as a brand can be, nothing is more frustrating than trying to buy something that isn't your correct size, or, that's a whole other conversation, but I really appreciate that you guys are being mindful in that sense. That's awesome. Final question is for Celeste. As a consumer, what is your plan to keep us engaged in such a crowded digital space?
I think what would keep us engaged and what we're going to be doing is there's so many brands out there, like, to piggyback on what I said before, that are just about the clothing or just about these t-shirts. What has happened in the media now, and blasting those images and blasting all of the negative images as to what's going on, and then quickly trying to turn out a t-shirt about it to make profit or to get the message out, but there's no community behind it. So what I feel what would put us apart from the other brands and continue to keep you engaged is that we're going to continue to have community. It is not like, oh, we're going to put out a t-shirt and maybe talk about it once and then would disappear. Absolutely not. We're going to be consistently here talking about it, coming up with new ideas to get the community engaged, having meetings with each other, having meetings with the community. You will see us donating money to certain organizations. You will see us there with the organization on the ground. It isn't just, oh, we're going to make a donation. No, you're going to see us there. We're going to be helping these other organizations. It is not like a little ghost check that just came in the mail. We're going to be active in the community. So although we may have a t-shirt, we also will be in the community with you with that t-shirt on. I just want to make sure that it's stressed that we are not just a clothing company. We are a nonprofit, and we are here for our community. And so it's not just purchasing something from us and then that's all you see. It is a community engagement. If you go onto our website and you would like to engage us in conversations, that we're always welcome to that. You can email us certain things that's going on in the community, certain things you think we should talk about, even certain things you're like, maybe we should discuss this because I may not agree. And that's what's important to us, because it's not just like what we say. We're a community and we want to talk about these things because we all still want to grow. So I think that is what makes us different from other companies and what will continue the engagement, because a lot of times you'll see companies that, you know, they'll have a conversation and then that's it, or they'll post something and then they disappear, and that doesn't keep me engaged. That doesn't keep me engaged at all. So we think it's important that everyone has a voice and that we continue to encourage that, and so that you will be willing to continue to have that dialogue with us, because we want to hear from y'all.
Absolutely.
If I could actually add something to that, Celeste, I think that's a really good point to mention. We're community-based. And I think where a lot of the borderline comes from, when you sign up for an account, you kind of expect the founders or those who are starting it to be kind of straight off. They're on the other side of that. But I want to make it clear, we're members of this too. We're Rise of the Cotton. We are here to learn. So we value transparency. If you want to have a conversation, let's have a conversation. We're not here to just talk at you and just provide content at you. We want to do this with you. So I did want to reiterate that we're members right there alongside our community.
Thank you, ladies, for your authenticity and your candor. I can feel the passion from all of you, and it's so inspiring. I can't wait to see this brand grow and thrive from the ground up. And thank you for sharing this space with me today. For everybody else, thank you again for joining us. Please check out our website, riseofthecotton.com. You can find us also on social, Facebook and Instagram as well. And then we're going to include some links at the bottom so you can check us out as well. So thanks to everybody, and stay safe, and we'll see you again soon.